Johnny Crawford was the golden boy and a fan favorite. He was a great kid who won over the hearts of all his fans and stole the show in every scene he was in. But was his real life as nice as his characters in the movies? There are some very deep truths about Johnny that we will tell you today. Some of them led to his death. People who watched TV in the 1960s or 1980 remembered Johnny as a well-known American singer, actor, and artist. Sometimes he played the cute Mark McCain in the TV show The Rifleman, and other times he played one of the original Mouseketeers in the Mickey Mouse Club. It was easy for him to play the part, and sometimes his acting was so good that people forgot who Johnny and Mark were. The fact that he was nominated for an Emmy when he was only 13 years old backs up what we're saying. People liked the kid a lot, and his managers were smart enough not to let his fame stay with the Rifleman. They also made him do other show business things. He was a big deal in the music business because everything he put out sold out right away. Though you thought he was a great talent, you should know that he wasn't always paid for his work. He liked to surprise people, but the one he planned for his fans in 2021 broke their hearts. So all these questions come up. The biggest one is why someone so great had to die with so many doubts. You'll have to wait until the end to find out the answer. Crawford was born in Los Angeles on March 26, 1946. His parents were Betty and Robert Lawrence Crawford Sr. The people on his mom's side were from Belgium. Alfred Eugene Migerlin, his maternal grandfather, was a well-known pianist. His family was very loving, and he grew up with 3 siblings, Corydon, Robert, and Nance. By now, you should know that he came from a very clear family tree, which meant that his great fate was handed to him in a silver platter. It's not like he didn't have any skills of his own. No, he was so good that in 1959, Johnny and his older brother Robert co-starred in the TV show Laramie. They and their father, Robert Sr., were all nominated for Emmy Awards. Both the boys and their father were nominated for awards for their work in movies. It was already very good, but when he turned 9, he took it to the next level. He chose to try out for a part as a Mouseketeer on the Mickey Mouse Club because his parents pushed him to do so. The directors took one look at him and knew that this young boy was the best person for the part. Johnny quickly agreed to play the part and started working with ABC to film the show. The big surprise is now here. Did you know that Johnny was never paid by ABC? Simply put, Johnny and his parents told his agent that they didn't need to be paid because it was more of a gesture to ABC and they had no plans to pay him. For this family, it wasn't such a bad thing to do to a child as most people would think. They don't care about the money because having their son play that part gives them something much more important than money. Instead, they got fame, a level of fame that sent their son to the top points of Hollywood that neither of them had ever reached. The little trick they pulled off paid off 1,000,000 times over when he started getting bigger and better jobs. In 1955, he was one of the 24 original Mouseketeers on Disney's The Mickey Mouse Club. He was on the Red Team and appeared in many episodes. When Bobby went on the show, he too became a major TV star. He quit the job at the end of the first season because it had given him what he needed. He quit ABC and quickly got a job in his first movie, The Sons of Katie Elder. Don't worry, he starred with John Wayne. Is Wayne not connected to Batman, or was he? Anyway, being in this movie gave him confidence, which is the second thing that makes an entertainer great. And he worked on a lot of other big projects after The Little Boy Lost. This was Crawford's big break as an actor because it came out on March 15, 1956 as a Lux Video Theater show. He also played a part in one of the few color episodes of the famous Western show The Lone Ranger in 1956. He started working as a freelancer 2.5 years ago and got almost 60 TV credits during that time. These included parts in 3 episodes of NBC's The Loretta Young Show and as Manuel in an episode of The Sheriff of Cochise called I Am an American. He even had a lead role in the season 1 end of The Restless Gun in 1958. But it was his role as Bobby Adams in the 1958 drama Courage of Black Beauty that really made him famous. The boy was having a great time because he had a link to every major movie or TV show of that time. His role as Tommy Peel in the 1958 Tales of Wells Fargo episode The Dealer was well known. When a young star gets all that attention and fame, what do you think happens? They end up being harmed. Fame is bad for young minds. But did young Johnny feel the same way? Let's find out. He got his big break when he was cast in the show The Rifleman, and he was done being the younger brother this time. He played Mark McCain, the young son of Lucas McCain, a hero of war. Once more, we want to tell you that the famous war veteran is none other than Chuck Connors. Chuck was one of the first actors to play a single dad on live TV, so this is a very important part for him. From 1958 to 1963, this show was seen all over the world and was, of course, a huge hit. At that time, people hadn't seen this kind of connection before. The sweet and sour father-son relationship and the lessons it taught viewers about life were a big new thing on TV. Johnny was in 168 episodes, and the Rifleman role propelled him to the top of Hollywood fame. A lot of people thought that Chuck Connors shined a light on Johnny and made him famous. But wait until later, because we're going to tell you how Johnny saved Connors' career and made him the famous Rifleman for so long. After that, The Big Valley, which ran from 1965 to 1969, made him more well-known. This time, Johnny appeared with Barbara Stanwyck, who played the big widow of a rancher from the 1800s in This American Western show. He also did a great job in The Count of Monte Cristo and Cavalcade of America. For the next few years, Johnny was used in a lot of projects because everyone knew that he was the golden bird and that everything he worked on would be a success. He started making cameos on Rawhide and Hawaii Five-0 as a way to get attention. A lot of times, he was a guest on The Mike Douglas Show and The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Kids wanted to be like Johnny and live his fancy life. He was now a sign of fame and a household name. Now is the exciting part because Johnny is going to save Connors. It all began when the show's original makers, Levy Gardner Levin Productions, bought the rights from MPI in late 2013. This meant that all 168 episodes could be released at the same time for the first time. Back in the day, the show was very famous. But after the third season, when our favorite Lucas McCain started dating Miss Millie, the show ended. Some fans didn't like the connection, so McCain and Millie broke up in season 4. But Connors had a hard time because they didn't pay him enough, and he wanted to leave. James Whitmore, or John Anderson, were almost chosen to take his place. Although the producers knew Connors would be a great fit for Lucas McCain, they finally raised their offer after seeing how well he got along with young Johnny Crawford on screen. Connors agreed to the new deal and kept his job as a rifleman. He became the famous star we know today because of this. The world would have forgotten about him if not for Johnny. Crawford was close with Johnny at work, but their friendship outside of work was, oh boy, this one might make you want to sit down. Crawford did not like Connor as a person. He saw him as an annoyance and a bad influence. In fact, he said that Connors was a clever joker. He was such a great actor that no one will ever forget him. But wouldn't it be the worst thing that could happen to Johnny if he forgot all that fame and glory? What does that mean? You'll soon find out. A lot of people think it was strange or inappropriate for Johnny to start playing music all of a sudden, but that's only because they don't know him or his background. Our story about Johnny's family in music goes back a long way. Alfred Eugene Magerlin, his maternal grandpa, was a violinist in Germany and Belgium before moving to the United States in 1914. His mother played the piano. Alfred was a good husband who taught his wife Frances how to play the violin, which led to her becoming a violin teacher. Alfred was one of the first violinists to play in big bands like the New York Philharmonic. His daughter was good at singing just like he was, and she played the piano. Bobby Crawford, who worked with Irving Berlin to start the Crawford Music Corporation, was another big name in the music business on Granddaddy. He made some great musicals and plays for Broadway. In 1929, he sold his music catalog to Warner Brothers. When he died in 1941, he left all of his musical wealth to his family, especially Johnny. Johnny became interested in Bobby's songs after he got out of the Army. Johnny had met director Charles L. Turner while he was stationed in Queens, New York, as part of his service. This meeting sparked his interest in shows from the 1930s. Johnny picked up his guitar and played it so hard that he felt like he was in touch with his grandfather's spirit. Soon Johnny was being compared to Bing Crosby and Fred Astaire. By the early 1960s, he had already done it. He had trained enough, and learned enough to be good at it, it was time to move forward. When he chose to make a living out of his hobby and recorded his first song, Daydreams, in 1961, he got friends right away because he was the son of the Rifleman, and he signed with Delphi Records. Many of his songs made it to the Billboard Top 100 with their help. Johnny had 8 Billboard Top 100 hits and put out 3 albums during his time. He didn't forget to do what his grandfather had done. That's why Johnny put together the Johnny Crawford Dance Orchestra, which played big band jazz and swing music. Even though the man was already very successful in movies and singing, he still had something else planned to surprise everyone. Johnny Crawford loved rodeo more than anything else. The Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association and the American Junior Rodeo Association both gave him work to do. He was very good at rodeo because he had practiced for years, and the riflemen were almost perfect. He was proud of how well he could wrestle steers, rope calves, ride broncs, and ride bulls. Besides that, he trained in trick roping so that he could be the best at it. Johnny shocked everyone with his patriotism when no one was expecting it. It was like he swore to give his fans as many shocks as possible. He joined the U.S. Army because he felt called to serve his country. He could help, and it was his turn. From December 1965 to December 1967, he fought in the Vietnam War. Johnny gave up his great job and everything he loved to do for his country. He often said, "I don't feel like giving up anything. It's what I owe my country." First, he went to Fort Bliss, Texas, for basic training. This led him to the Army Pictorial Center in New York. His work on making teaching films was appreciated. In his emails home, Johnny used to make fun of military haircuts by saying they were like scalping in the past. He loved making training films at the Army Pictorial Center so that he could get men ready for battle and also improve his own work. He was released from the Army with honor in December 1967 after becoming a full sergeant. Johnny was a stronger man when he got back from the service. He put his attention on both his job and his family. He asked his high school love, Charlotte Sanko, to marry him when he felt he was ready. They were together for 5 years before they decided it was time to get married. Johnny was one of the lucky men in Hollywood because he never had to get divorced or end a relationship. His marriage to her was as strong as a bull. Johnny was a dad, even though he never had his own kids. He raised his 2 stepdaughters, Brenda and Jamie, with love and lived happily ever after with them. Johnny loved to work with his family. He and his brother Bobby were in the Mickey Mouse Club together a lot of the time, and they later formed a singing duo called the Crawford Brothers. He didn't play for a while after he got out of the Army, but Johnny got back to the job he loved with great parts in movies like The Gambler Returns and The Luck of the Draw, 1991. In one of those movies, he even worked with Chuck Connors again. He had a very good acting career, until he quit in 1999. In 2019, he made a cute comeback in The Marshal, a silent movie by William S. Hart. The question still stands, why was his death so sad? What did he do to surprise his friends in 2021? Let's say you have a life that is perfect and full of glory. You never make the mistakes that other young stars do, and you already have everything a normal star wants in life when you're only 21. But you get all of these things when you are young. Also remember that it may not seem important when you are young, but Johnny never had that option. Johnny was told he had Alzheimer's, so he couldn't remember how famous he was. Even though the people who loved him were there with him, he never saw them as he lay dying. Do you know how scary and lonely that end is? It was a harsh sentence from Lady Luck. There was a GoFundMe effort to help pay for his medical bills. At that time, he had a net worth of about $500,000, 0 cents, but most of that was gone to medical bills. Then the shocking hero shocked fans again when they heard that Johnny Crawford had died on April 29, 2021. He died from COVID-19, not Alzheimer's. Johnny Crawford, please rest in peace. People all over the world will always remember you as a bright tear.